As U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visited Kyiv, reiterating Washington's support for Ukraine, the situation on the Eastern Front grows increasingly tense.
We've moved heaven and earth to help Ukraine, and that inspiring coalition of more than 50 allies and partners continues to stand united to provide your country with the security assistance that Ukraine needs to prevail. Under President Biden's leadership, the United States remains committed to keeping up this support. And so I'm pleased to announce today the commitment of a $400 million presidential drawdown package to provide your forces with additional munitions, armored vehicles, and anti-tank weapons.
Russian forces have launched a sustained bombardment on Pokrovsk, a key transportation hub in eastern Ukraine, killing multiple civilians. This offensive is part of Moscow's larger strategy to seize control of vital Ukrainian territory and extend its influence across the region. Pokrovsk, a city that once housed 60,000 residents, stands at the crossroads of multiple critical railways and highways, making it a logistical center for Ukraine's military operations. For Russian President Vladimir Putin, taking Pokrovsk would represent a significant victory by disrupting Ukraine's supply lines and solidifying Russian control over surrounding territories. Capturing the city would provide a direct pathway toward Dnipro, allowing Russian forces to exert greater pressure on Ukraine's defenses. The city's strategic importance cannot be overstated. The fall of Pokrovsk would potentially open the door for broader Russian advances into central Ukraine, bringing the conflict closer to key population centers. Additionally, its relatively higher ground would give Russian forces a tactical advantage, enabling deeper artillery fire and drone strikes into Ukrainian territory. From Moscow's perspective, Pokrovsk is a critical objective in the ongoing battle for eastern Ukraine, and controlling it could reshape the course of the war. Russia's military strategy has increasingly focused on grinding down Ukrainian defenses through sustained artillery barrages and infantry advances. Seizing Pokrovsk fits squarely into this effort, providing Russian forces with a new foothold for further operations. The significance of Pokrovsk also extends beyond military logistics. Its capture would deliver a psychological blow to Ukraine and its Western allies, symbolizing a shift in momentum. Putin has long sought to demonstrate Russia's resilience and military prowess, despite international sanctions and military aid flowing to Kyiv. Securing Pokrovsk would send a clear signal that Russia remains capable of achieving its strategic goals, despite widespread condemnation and continued Ukrainian resistance. For Ukraine, the potential loss of Pokrovsk would represent a severe setback, disrupting critical military operations and forcing its forces into a more defensive posture. The city has served as a staging ground for Ukrainian forces, and its capture by Russia would further isolate Ukrainian units along the Eastern Front. Moreover, Russian control over Pokrovsk would create broader vulnerabilities for Ukraine, threatening defensive lines across a wider area, particularly in the Dnipro region. Russian military planners view this as an opportunity to deepen their influence across eastern Ukraine, potentially pushing Ukrainian forces back and weakening Kyiv's ability to defend its territorial integrity. The timing of this offensive is also critical. As winter approaches, both Russian and Ukrainian forces will face the challenges of operating in harsh weather. However, capturing Pokrovsk before winter could offer Russia a significant strategic advantage, allowing consolidation of gains and preparation for renewed offensives when conditions improve. Putin's broader objective remains clear: consolidate Russian control over as much of eastern Ukraine as possible. The battle for Pokrovsk is a key component of this strategy, creating a more defensible front line while undermining Ukraine's efforts to recapture lost territory. Moscow's leadership likely views this as an essential step in turning the tide of the conflict and pushing Ukraine toward a negotiated settlement that favors Russian interests. The international dimension of this battle cannot be ignored. With the US presidential election approaching, the situation is being closely watched in Washington and European capitals. A successful Russian offensive could impact Western support for Ukraine, especially if military aid becomes a contentious issue in Western domestic politics. The fall of Pokrovsk would not only shift the balance of power on the battlefield, but could also influence the broader geopolitical landscape. For Putin, securing this city would be a symbolic and practical victory, further strengthening Russia's position in the ongoing conflict. The battle for Pokrovsk will likely play a defining role in the next phase of the war, as both sides brace for continued fighting amid the escalating pressures of winter warfare. As Ukraine faces mounting challenges, the international community remains deeply invested in the outcome of this conflict. The fight for Pokrovsk underscores the high stakes of the war and the potentially far-reaching consequences of Russia's military advances. Whether Ukraine can hold the line or Russia succeeds in capturing this strategic city will profoundly impact the future trajectory of the war and possibly the region as a whole.